My name is Hannah, and this is my year of less stuff. Hey y'all, welcome to yet another video filmed with natural light on the floor in front of my couch. I just was editing the first one, which was the Fenty blush review, and really appreciating how realistic the footage is. You can see the texture on my skin, you can see the colors really well. So I decided to set up this way for today's video, which is going to be a quick demo of my use of the Flower Beauty Jungle Lights palette, which was just sent to me in the mail as a gift from my friend Lacey. She bought it for me and had it sent to me just because, I think because she knew how much I would like it, because she knows my tastes, and with the degree to which she felt that I would love it, she just couldn't stand me not having it. I feel like that's what happened. And she was right. It's spectacular. It's a drugstore priced palette, maybe slightly on the high end of drugstore pricing. It's not new. It's not some sort of like glamorous YouTube review of a new product, but I really love the look that I got with it yesterday, and I loved it so much that I decided to actually sit down and repeat that look for you today and film it so you can see how the shadows perform. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. My name is Hannah. I'm a passionate lover of beautiful things and beauty products, but not at the expense of my financial health. And I try to keep a balance on my channel whereby I honor the value of beautiful things, but without creating an environment that normalizes overspending. So if that sounds good to you, please subscribe. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. Before I get into the look, I'm going to swatch the palette for you, and the swatches really tell the tale. This is it. It arrived broken in the mail. The purple one, the purple shadow, unfortunately was the one that broke. I say unfortunately because it's the darkest one, so it was the hardest one to clean up. But it didn't completely shatter. It just broke, and it was like broken in its pan, and then there were some little specks all over. So this palette looks a little bit world weary already, and it's simply because I had to clean it up and do some repressing with that purple one, and I had to do some pressing on the rest of them too after kind of digging into them to get the little bits of purple out. But there it is. And I will go ahead and insert some swatches now, some juicy arm swatches. I don't consider this really to be a palette that implies a look with its color story. I don't look at this and think, oh yeah, I really want to put that green with that purple with that gold and like create a look. It's not really about the color story to me. To me, it's about the thickness and richness and juiciness of these shadows. It's the formula that's extraordinary. And even though I think that this is actually very, very pretty packaging, like it kind of holds its own against my high-end stuff. When I had first opened it, I put it on top of my vanity, and it was sitting next to my Gucci mascara and my Patrick Ta brow wax, and it fit right in. Like they all look like they go together. They all look beautiful together. But I am actually already thinking of it as 6 beautiful single shadows, and I don't know how often I'll actually use them together. Case in point, the look I'm going to do today, I'm just gonna be using one of these, but they all perform equally well as far as I can tell so far. And so I feel like by just showing you what I'm doing with the one, I can kind of show you the possibility in all of the shadows in the palette. You'll have already seen the up-close swatches, but I'm going to do some up-close active swatching just onto my fingers so you can maybe get an even better sense of the intense flaky creaminess of these stunners. This one up here really reminds me of Nomad, the Juvia's Place shadow that I have as a single because I depotted it and that I've used time and time again, especially in palettes where I'm building my own palette. This is the one I'm going to be using today. It's like an amazing creamy rose gold. It's so intense. This one is very intriguing, possibly the one that adds the most like color, excitement, and dimension to the palette. And then these lighter ones are also very, very, very beautiful. It's just like exactly what you would expect if you looked at this and had high expectations. Honestly, the pigment is unreal, and you can see why I'm so drawn to that sort of silvery rosy color that I'm going to use. My eyes are already primed, but before I go in with that shadow, I'm going to put down some of this product. This happens to be like a Kajal or kohl liner, so it's a pretty multi-purpose product and it has a multi-purpose shape, but you could use any old eyeliner to do what I'm about to do. I'm going to put a pretty thick layer on my lower lash line because I kind of want to blend this product out into the shadow, and I'm going to put some on my outer corner and sort of start to deepen the outer corner before I put down the main product, which is going to be that silvery pink shadow from the Flower Jungle Lights palette. The color is called Wild, but I'm always going to think of it as that silvery pink. Super messy application of that product, but it's just a base layer. It's pretty much all going to get covered up or blended out. All right, I'm going in with Wild on my finger and I'm just going to pack it all over. It's really the primary presence on the lid for this look. So because I have hooded eyes, I've brought it up onto the lower part of my brow bone. So the brow bone kind of curves around underneath there, and I've made sure to cover the curve of the brow bone and go up onto the midpoint between the edge of the brow bone and the brow with the shadow. So I haven't brought it all the way up to my eyebrows, but I also haven't stopped inside of the crease or inside of the fold of the brow. If I had done that, it would just be completely lost and I was looking straight on, and I don't want it to be that way. I want you to be able to see the lid color when I'm looking straight on. And in order to do that, I have to put it on a part of my eye that's not technically my lid. So I'm gonna take this small fluffy brush and just diffuse the edges of that shadow that I've laid down. So I want to build some dimension into the outer corners of the eyes, kind of to add another layer of that darkness that I put down with the eyeliner to start. But I don't want to go in with that cream eyeliner on top of this powder product, and there isn't really a deepening shade in here that I want to add to this look. So this is what I'm talking about when I say that it's kind of like 6 pans of like singles. There isn't like a dark brown or a black. I could use the purple, but it would add purple into this look, and I want to keep it in the like silvery pink realm. So I'm going to go into my trusty Persona Identity 2 palette, and I'm going to take a mix of the shimmery dark brown and the regular dark brown. I don't think I quite want to go there with black for this look, but I'm going to use those browns to deepen up the outer corner. You can see that that brown blends into the silvery pink really beautifully. It almost makes it look like it's just one shadow, but my eyes are very dimensional, like very deep in the corner. It really looks just like a darker version of the pink shadow that I started with that's being blended out. And I love that effect. I like the look of like monochromatic dimension. So I'm just gonna stop there instead of putting like a much darker packed amount of brown into the outer corner. I'm gonna let it be more diffuse like that. But you can see it's getting a little bit patchy right on my brow bone on both sides. And that's partly because my skin's a little bit uneven there because I've like plucked a little bit of stray hair, and it's just not the smoothest spot. I think sometimes little tiny hairs start to grow in and they're so pale that I can't see them, so tiny that I can't get them. So I'll often get somewhat of an uneven blend, especially when I'm taking a really creamy textured shimmer shadow this far up. And my solution for that, as you've seen me do time and time again, is to put a very, very sheer, fine, glittery shadow there to make it just look wet and to diffuse the look of the patchiness. Because if you put something that's intentionally sparkly there, all of the little bits of sparkle reflect light in all directions, and it obscures the fact that the blend wasn't even there. It essentially makes it look even. So I've forgotten to bring the one that I want to use over here. I'm gonna go grab it. I did want to say that I think that one could use this palest shade in this palette for this purpose. You would just have to use a very, very light hand and make sure to fluff it on and spread it out, because a full layer of that product would be very, very opaque. It would be not like a wash of shimmer that diffuses light. It would literally be like a full layer that would be the only color that's there, the only product that's there. However, I do want to completely replicate the look that I had on in the video yesterday, so I'm going to use what I used yesterday, which is the shadow on top of the Tom Ford Cream and Powder Duo. It's a much more sheer, wet look glitter. If you have the Natasha Denona Gold palette, Kava from that palette works really well for this purpose. And I've also found some K-Beauty dupes for this kind of shadow. I'll leave all of that linked down below. So this product, the Gold palette, and also the K-Beauty dupes that I've become aware of. So I've placed that sheer wet look shadow all over the brow bone and blended it down close to the inner corner, but I haven't obscured the majority of the lid and brow bone, which is covered with that silvery pink shadow from the Flower Beauty palette. And I also haven't obscured the outer corner, which is deepened up a little bit with those browns. I'm gonna go ahead and put some of the silvery pink shadow, the Flower Beauty shadow, onto my lower lash line and buff that out, probably with a little bit of brown shadow to strengthen it. I actually ended up just going back with some of the eyeliner to reinforce that lower lash line and to kind of get some of that depth in and amongst my lower lashes, at the base of the lashes. But I didn't end up putting brown shadow on there. I was able to blend this pink shadow out pretty far down. It's one of the things I really like about this. It sort of adds to the, I feel like, intentional sultriness and smudginess of the overall look. It makes the whole thing look more intentional, and it gives a little bit of that kind of like sensual weariness to the eye to blend that shadow out far down. But because it's a pale color, because it's a pale pink, and it's not too contrasty with my skin tone, it doesn't look too insanely dramatic. It doesn't look too much like raccoon eyes, even though I've really blended it down quite far. I like that a lot. So that's it. Pretty simple. I am going to zoom out, put some mascara on off camera, clean up a little bit of fallout off camera, and I'll be back with you to apply a lipstick and discuss. Okay, we're back. I have the mascara on. The fallout was not a small problem, I have to say. I had to brush it off with a brush, wipe it away with a dry paper towel, and then I had to go on top of what I already had on my face with some concealer to try to just sort of like absorb and obscure the little bit of streakiness and the little bit of metallic pigment that was still there after I had tried to wipe it off. I didn't want to go all the way in with something wet and like create a difference in the surface of that part of my skin to the rest of it, if that makes sense. But I did have to like put on more concealer, and then I had to go back with a little bit more blush and highlight to fix that. And so I've ended up with like more makeup on my skin, and I feel like looking more made up than I wanted to today. So I regret doing my whole face and then coming and sitting down to do my eye look. I think that with this palette in the future, I'll always take care to do my eyes before I put anything on my face. But it's fine. I made it. And my lashes, oh my gosh, I'm so loving this lash primer from Milani. It's so good. The violet one, it was, I think, given to me maybe at BeautyCon. I can't remember. It was given to me as PR at some point, and I had it in my backups box because I hadn't really been yearning for a lash primer. But I recently pulled it out, and it's amazing because it holds its own even if it's still a little bit wet when you're combing through it, and sort of like changing the way that your lashes look with the mascara wand that you're using on top of it. I'm gonna go in with my, at this point, my trusty old Glossier Vanilla Clip in Pony. I like can't stop, won't stop wearing this, and so I'm wearing it again today. I heard a rumor that they were going to expand the shade range on these, but I don't know when. Does anyone know? Has anyone heard more than I have about this? Because I would love it if they would come out with a browner nude. This is more of like a mauve nude, and it's the most nude of all of them. I want a chocolate brown nude from Glossier in this formula. So that is it, the finished look. I feel like it's kind of fierce. It's like messy but fierce. A fierce mess is what I am. And so it's just the perfect thing. I love how wet it looks. I love how it's got a little bit of femininity in that pink, but it's like a silvery pink. It's like a textured silvery pink, so there's also some grit to it. In a way, it's both soft and structured, both masculine and feminine. That is what I like. That's the aesthetic that I like. And it also doesn't look too labored. It doesn't look like something that was too difficult to do, and that's because it wasn't too difficult to do. So this is going to be a great go-to look for me, I feel, going forward. I'm happy to have it in my back pocket, and I feel like in some ways the Flower Jungle Lights palette kind of encouraged me in this direction. I mean, it's not a vast departure from the eye looks that I usually do. You guys will have seen me do these kinds of eye looks before if you've been watching my channel, but there's just something about this super creamy textured formula, and also something about the way that the colors are blended. They aren't duochromes, but they all seem to have something else going on. So, you know, this is a pink, but it really seems to have some silver going on. And the purple and the green both seem to have like some black going on in them. Like they've almost got like an underpigment. The red really feels like it has some gold going on. And then these ones both are just really, really sparkly and creamy. So they really lend themselves to being sort of smudged out in a sooty way all over the lid, and then to use some other bolstering colors like a deepening brown and a glittery top coat to finish off the look and make it extra glamorous. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of this look and what you think of this palette in the comment section down below. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself today so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.